Welcome to Community Mindfulness Project's Mindfulness Care for the Resilient Caregiver. This series has been made possible by support from the Grace Farms Foundation. My name is Erika Long. I'm one of the co-founders of Community Mindfulness Project. We're a nonprofit whose mission is to help people learn healthy habits to support their well-being, especially through meditation and mindfulness. You can check out our website at communitymindfulnessproject.org for guided meditations, book recommendations, our weekly meditation blog, and other resources. It's a privilege to offer this session to all of you who dedicate your days to safeguarding and improving the well-being of others. We want to thank you for the vital work that you do. Now about that work. The people that you care for, either virtually or in person, need your care because they're struggling in some way. In the process of caring for your clients, your patients, and your loved ones, you see the suffering that people endure. And oftentimes, people that devote their time to caring for others are naturally empathic. You feel the pain that you witness in others. This can be really depleting. It can wear you down and impact your health, as I'm sure you've probably experienced firsthand. Also, many, if not all of us who work to help others, tend to believe that everyone else's needs come before ours, that somehow it's important to take care of others and less important to take care of ourselves. But in order to take care of others, we need to be healthy. So in this series, we'll tap into some skills that will help us process the suffering that we witness and take on from others, and even help prevent us from taking it on in the future. We're going to work on taking care of ourselves, which it will in turn help us take care of others. But let's acknowledge that taking care of ourselves is noble and worthwhile in and of itself. So this feels like a good time to pause and take a conscious breath and let that notion sink in. The importance of taking care of ourselves. Maybe just noticing for a moment how it feels to acknowledge that. So let's talk a bit about what exactly mindfulness is. We love the definition that was put forth by Jon Kabat-Zinn, one of the first people to bring science-based meditation to the United States. And he says, mindfulness is sustained, voluntary attention in the present moment with curiosity and kindness. So let's just take that word by word. The first word in that is sustained. The mind wanders about every 5 seconds unless we train it to do otherwise. And that's going to be really important to remember as we move through this series. Often it wanders to a place that can stress our nervous system, to fears, to regrets, to self-judgment. By training our mind to stay put, we're reducing the strain on our nervous system. We're also stabilizing our mind so that there's space for creativity, a broader perspective, and a sense of connectedness. And we do this in the present moment. So why does that matter? We're happier when we're in the present moment, and we're a lot more effective at whatever we're doing, whether it's entering data, washing our hands, listening to others, packing someone's lunch. This being in the present moment is a big relief for our nervous system. And it's voluntary what we're choosing. We're choosing what we want to pay attention to, and we're sticking with it. We're not just focusing on whatever life is throwing at us in the moment. And lastly, we're doing this with curiosity and kindness, and maybe a sense of play and exploration. These are really important. You can engage in meditation and mindfulness with a sense of a 7-year-old who's exploring something for the first time. This isn't one more thing on your to-do list or something to judge yourself on. This is an exploration. And let's mention what mindfulness isn't. Mindfulness isn't shutting out all thoughts. The mind is going to wander. It's what it does. We can think of it like a puppy that we're training to sit still. Every time it wanders off, we gently but firmly bring it back to where we want it to be. Mindfulness is bringing attention to our present moments with some kindness and curiosity smiling whenever you realize that your mind has wandered. That is the practice, the noticing and the redirecting. And each time we notice that the mind has wandered and we smile and bring it back, we're strengthening our ability to stay grounded in the present moment. It's like a mental push-up. So that noticing of mind wandering is to be celebrated, not greeted with judgment. So let's try a short mindfulness practice that you can do anywhere, anytime. You're going to hear the sound of a chime, and I'm inviting you to listen to the sound of the chime for as long as you can, and then begin to tune into the sounds around you, in the room and outside the room. When you find your mind wandering, which it almost certainly will do, just smile that you've noticed what the mind is doing and gently return your attention to listening to the sounds. You can cast your gaze down to your knees if you're sitting, or you can close your eyes if you like, whatever is most comfortable for you. You'll hear the sound of the chime again at the end, and you can take your time to widen your attention beyond sounds. You don't need any special tone or chime to do this when you do it. I'm just using one to make it easier in this format. So sometimes when we sit quietly, it seems as if our mind takes off at a gallop. We might feel frustration or a sense of, I'm no good at this. Actually, it's totally normal. Our minds are normally very active. We just don't happen to notice it. And so remembering again that our minds wander about every 5 seconds, even when we're trying hard to focus on something. Realizing that our mind has wandered is the magic moment in the practice. It's the moment that we begin to rewire the brain to support our well-being. So take a position that will support you in the meditation right now. That might mean if you're sitting, that you have your feet planted on the floor evenly, and maybe your back is moved slightly away from the back of the chair, so that you have a sense of being alert but relaxed. Sitting with a sense of stability, openness, and also a sense of dignity. So let's get started, listening for the sound of the chime. We can begin by listening to the sounds in the body. It might be the sound of the breath as it enters and leaves the body. Sometimes you can hear your own heartbeat, and some of us have ringing in the ears. If there are no sounds obvious in the body, just noticing that as well. Tuning into whatever is there for you to hear. And now broadening your attention to take in sounds close to the body. Maybe it's the rustling of clothes as you breathe. Anything else that's nearby to you. Now expanding to also take in sounds in the room. noticing if there are any stories that come with the sounds. Letting these go and just letting the sounds land on you as sounds. And now expanding to take in sounds outside of the room also. And if the mind starts to wander, smiling and bringing attention back to the sounds around you. Nothing to do but be present for the sounds that arise. And doing this with a great sense of kindness and patience towards yourself. Maybe noticing the spaces between the sounds. And when you notice that the mind has wandered or is thinking about the sounds, rather than just listening to them as they arise, smiling and coming back to just being with the sounds as they present themselves. If your eyes have been closed during this meditation and you'd like to, you can open them gently now and look around your surroundings with a gentle gaze. And if your body has been still during the meditation, you might want to reintroduce some movement. And sometimes it can be fun after a sounds meditation to rub the hands back and forth together and notice the sound that that makes. So why do we practice mindfulness of sounds? First of all, sounds are a really useful anchor to bring us into the present moment and get us out of our heads. And when we connect with the present moment, it's like the nervous system breathes a big sigh of relief. The region of the brain that allows us to feel connected to the present moment is also a region that allows us to feel integrated with our environment, less self-focused, less I, me, and my in the thinking, and less ruminating or prone to looping thought. By tuning into sounds, we can have a sense that we're part of something bigger, connected somehow to the chirping birds, the beeping machines, the buzz of the work environment that we're in, the giggling kids next door, and even the neighbor's TV. We're not alone. We also begin to have a sense that sounds, like thoughts, feelings, and circumstances, have beginnings, middles, and ends. And the witnessing of change can help us learn to accommodate change and also help us to feel less stuck in a certain moment or situation. We have a sense of this too shall pass. This is a practice that can be done in very short doses throughout the day. We tend to triage our way throughout the day, moving from one client to another, to one task to another. We're always on the way to the next thing on our to-do list, and we're not giving ourselves the chance to acknowledge and process the emotions that we've accumulated. We're not listening to our bodies and the messages that they have for us. And the cumulative effect of that triage treadmill is really draining, especially when there's a constant barrage of news, of need to provide, of need to adjust, etc. So pausing, even for a few breaths, to tune into the sounds in our environment can help us reset. All of the practices that we'll go over in this series can be done in small doses at small intervals throughout the day, between client interactions, when you're washing your hands, as you walk upstairs, even when you brush your teeth. So in closing, wishing you well and thanking you for the noble work that you do. We hope this has served somehow. Please do feel free to reach out to us with questions and comments at welcome@communitymindfulnessproject.org. We'd love to hear from you. Let us know how the series is serving you, how you're using it to support your well-being, and how we can improve. Until the next installment, take good care of yourself.